Yeah, so yeah, that was my support worker, and it was just important that I answer that. Where were we? Uh, it's never been proven, really. You need to experience it because the world says world. So even if you have a loving uncle there that tells you, everything is mind, you can eat what you want, it overcomes, and the mind can overpower it. If you just look back over your past life and look over to the entire world, there's always going to be a very strong argument against that. So we need to experience it. Now, in the moment, what we have to be honest with is agony, this world. And if we're agony and we're desperate for a way out, deep underneath, this is me. As I said, I've gone through the way of the subconscious as a means to harmony in this life, and that's my viewpoint on it. If we're honest with ourselves, you can't be whole. You can't look at the real suffering of the world and be a human being anymore. Used on a psychological and emotional level, and really it should do something to you on a physical level, on a survival level, on every level. I'm not even honest, entirely honest. Really come from this world and see it in the honesty. You can still see the magnitude of the pain and hold it there, like in the distance, to say, fuck, I don't want to look at that too much, and then slowly just feel comfortable with it, sort of thing, as much as you can, and continue living the lie and let the lie change glimpses you have of the truth as you go along, as we go. But the Thich Nhat Hanh, his message is like practical. I see it like he's top spiritual teachers. He's Pleiadian, so he's from Pleiadian, the ultimate light beings. And he's his work he's done in his life. I don't know his life story. He's really amassed an immense amount of work, sitting there and not doing a lot. I mean, I know he was proactive back in Vietnam during the war, but how mindfulness has spread as it has, when all he does is sit around and meditate all day. So this is the real contradiction that I'm putting forward now. I know you're probably still unclear about what I'm trying to say. So we'll come back for a second and we'll look at that person that wants to end through his teachings and apply mindfulness and meditation each day. So that person applies patience, that person meditates, that person lives that simplistic, almost monk life. And their life changes. Their life becomes better this way, that way, the other way. But what are they doing? Heals themselves, and it remedies the pain of the world. To when you're in pain, you can't sit still, yeah? And that's sort of the same for the mind. The pain of reality makes our minds like a monkey mind. It makes it ill. And this is more like saying, right, we can't really deal with the mind. You know, give mind in terms of a natural environment for that monkey mind to just calm as much as it can. And if you apply all his teachings, you get something that resembles them. They're not entirely there. But what I want to highlight is it's not complete, is it? Because that person that's applied all his teachings, there's no real say. What happens if your country goes to war and you can't sleep at night because you're afraid of bombs? You've got to go and scavenge for food and, you know, dig people out of rubble. And that's your day. No meditation anymore. That meditation goes out the window. And that miracle that was your life stops, doesn't it? Of a certain aspect of peace heals. And sure, you know, when that first bomb, when the war begins for you, for your country, you're going to be in a far better place to deal with it than you would be if you hadn't. But ultimately, that support of the meditation is no longer there for you. And sooner or later, you're going to the house, even if you've got an ability to breathe through the first 2 days, the fact that you're not going to be of meditation and mindfulness, because everything the place around, eat, water, who's going to be alive, if you're going to be alive. And the practice isn't likely to continue, and you find yourself in the same place as everybody else again. Now we're using quite an extreme example, but as we said, you know, it could be the hippie in nature, and that nature that hippie had, well, it could be turned into a housing estate. So what happens if you do it within this? Right. I'm going off before I go off on too much of a tangent. What I'm saying is, and it will remedy the original problem. But the wider world is still there. You haven't cured the problem. And that wider world can come knocking to our lives at any time. So the question is, I'm here. I've been here for the past 18 months. And I've highlighting problems for the first time in my life, really. The interactions I've had with people, they understand almost the power of the mind somehow that I don't. So from my perspective of going through the subconscious, I've had to leave that aspect behind. And I'm raising the man Han has had upon the world without, team of social entrepreneurs and business people in the background really promoting his work. No, it's not happened like that. Yeah, there's been a bit of effort surely gone forward to promote mindfulness. So is that a miracle? Being present in the moment, healing yourself and doing the work, because in an ideal world it would all be like that. So what we're saying is the power of the mind real? Because that's the miracle. How do you show somebody that the power of the mind? Because as I said, my uncle taught me about and began to form, and I saw these possibilities of reality. But I didn't go that way. My life took me another way. Experience to say that, yeah, the power of the mind exists. And that's why, for instance, the work of the Thich Nhat Hanh isn't only a remedy, it's the cure for the world. But still, from my perspective, the Thich Nhat Hanh's work is a remedy, it's not the cure. You've probably seen what I'm trying to say now. I don't want to be highlighting problems for people to watch if it's going to be making the problem worse. But right here where I'm sitting, I have no evidence that the power of the mind is where it's at. So I'm thinking, right, if the power of the mind, the miracle of the power of the mind doesn't exist, then we have to do it in reality. We have to change the world. We have to be there on the front line, making, there was, what's this idea which I'm discussing, but it's Cristiano Ronaldo at his press interview when he took off, there were some Coke bottles there in front of him, and he pushed them to the side and, like, through his expression, really put down Coca-Cola. And Russell Brand just now has made a video on it. But my thinking is, in relation to this incident, which is a reflection of my with these videos, it's like, I push it to the side. The other's bad. Then Cristiano Ronaldo picked up some water and said, "Aqua," like, that's the way to be, and it's true. But if the power of the mind exists, what the fuck are we bothering for? Have the Coca-Cola. It tastes nicer than the water, isn't it? So I'm asking, on what level does the power of the mind exist? How do I? And if we're all doing the power of the mind, at what point and why are we doing the power of the mind? Is it only to remedy our own inability to see the pain and suffering of things? And we're just trying to not cause any more problems. Life is seemingly displaying. It's like my life keeps saying to me, Andreas, you're a waste of space to humanity. You're more of a trouble to the planet than any good. This is what my life shows me. So in terms of the power of the mind, if you're all doing this, before you can turn around and mind exists, you should be doing it. At what point do you draw the line for the power of the mind? Is it telling to yourself? It's only to yourself terms that if I like diminishes like this, sorry, the internet connection's unstable. I'm just waiting for it to return. There we go. So yeah, I asked the question in terms. I'm asking the question: does the power of the mind exist? Is that where we're all at as a species, as a humanity? Is that where we're all in terms of a proactiveness to the problem and seeking a solution? And I'm saying, I sincerely want an answer. It will change my life if it's true, isn't it? But before anybody answer that question, please just request, and that is for yourself on a personal level. Why are you doing it? Is it to remedy your own suffering because we are powerless? It's not for the wider world, it's for your own life, just to make yourself not a waste of space like myself. If I can limit all my control of them through the power of the mind, I'm going to be less of a... Or is it a case of, no, this is the world as a whole, this is the collective problem. And that's the most important thing. And given what I understand of the power of the mind, if I apply my mind this way, it's going to heal the world. Because it's important, isn't it? Be doing it. Mind practice. Because taking back into account the Thich Nhat Hanh case of, yeah, it's almost like a solution to yourself. Go and do this, child. Because I see the Thich Nhat Hanh like a loving father for the planet. Go and do this. Okay, you know, it hurts too much. I need to stop the pain. And we go and do it. We listen. Or is it like the Thich Nhat Hanh, who keeps it very simple, very pure to who we are as human beings? And as a result of that simplicity and pureness, he's created because to the world and to me, the power of the mind is a miracle. If it exists. Because I'm here and I'm banging my head against reality, and I venture I don't venture far from reality. I have to stick to reality as much as possible. So I know it is there are a few points that I didn't tie up there, but I think you should have got the message on a whole. And yeah, moment, and the questions are there to be responded to me, even if it hurts to send it to me. Yeah, Andreas, it's like this. My need to know, right, because it would appease my own problems, hopefully on some extent. I believe I'll hear it on those levels. Anyway, have a lovely day. Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. You've got to believe it to see it.